Hello, welcome to Brown Max Movie Talk. I had some time on my hands and I got quite a bit of sleep this afternoon, mostly because I was feeling ill. But due to having got lots of sleep, I now feel like I probably can't sleep, given that it's bedtime here. It's quite 12. So I was like, I feel like doing a bit of a live stream, but what shall I do? And I thought, well, you know what? I've not done any Blu-ray updates in quite some time. They're kind of something that have taken a bit of a backseat on my channel for a good few months. But that means that I've had an awful lot of Blu-rays that I've not kind of talked about, or, you know, this, that, the other. This is where I start to look like a real freak with a serious condition. But hey ho, if you're watching this, chances are you have a similar condition. So here goes. I thought I'd just, I've pulled them off the shelf, as you can see behind me there. So these top three shelves, most of these top three shelves are Blu-rays that I've bought and haven't discussed in any kind of Blu-ray updates or whatever. So I've pulled one of the shelves off. They're stacked up right here. I'm just going to go through them, chat about them. If you have any thoughts on them, please do share them in the comments. I probably won't go too mad on reading all the comments out because if I start getting a lot, then we won't actually get to seeing these bad boys. It'll just end up being me reading comments. But obviously, if somebody drops a super chat, obviously I will make that a priority because obvious reasons. But I will certainly be reading the comments and looking at them and just seeing what you guys have to say about some of these picks. The first one being one that I'm sure you can all see right there. It's obviously Spider-Man Far From Home. Similar kind of thing with this film as to Homecoming, which is that on first watch I wasn't too enamored with it, and on second watch it did improve for me. I don't know if it's just... what's the name of the guy who directed it? John Watts. I don't know if it's just how he directs or whatever. But with both of his Spider-Man films, I feel like they translated better on the small screen than they did on the big screen. And I do like Tom Holland, but he's probably my least favorite of the three actors to play Spider-Man. I think Andrew Garfield is probably my favorite. And then I'd probably say Tobey Maguire, but what can I say? Few Poundland pickups. There's a lot in this bunch from Poundland because they sell Blu-rays for £2. And the way I see it, even if you buy something that looks like it's going to be something that perhaps you won't like, it's less than the price of a rental. If you think about the Blockbuster days, you'd pay like $2.99 for a rental of a film that you've never even seen. Well, okay, pay £2 for stuff that you've not seen, but if you like it, you get to keep it. That sounds like a good bargain to me. Just want to say hello to people who are in the chat at the minute. So Harry Brady, Sumneat, hello, Daniel Muscat, Dale Strunk, I'm sorry, I had that covered up. Blu-ray Bullet Brit. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Say that fast 3 times. Skulder22 and Troy Tall. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining me. But yeah, carry on with it. So this, again, like I say, from Poundland, £2. It's a music DVD. It's Kings of Leon. I like Kings of Leon. They had a gold patch where they released a couple of albums that were like awesome, but they're kind of one of them bands where it's like I'm not that bothered anymore. But I guess I like them enough to be interested as to what, because this is a documentary, so it's more about them and how they operate, how they put the music together and stuff like that. So that kind of interests me. I've seen a few documentaries on bands like Fleetwood Mac and things like that, where when you go behind the scenes, you learn a bit more about them, and they can be quite interesting if done properly. Edge of Darkness. So this was based on a TV series, which I did have at one point, but never got around to watching. And in the end, I just thought, you know what, I'm never going to watch this. I've not watched it yet. I probably never will. So I ended up getting rid of the TV series. But I had seen the film before, and I liked it. And it's like, I don't know, 4 hours shorter than the series. So I kind of figured, you know what, if I'm going to watch Edge of Darkness, I'll probably just watch the film again, to be honest. I think a lot of that reasoning is down to state of play. I had a similar thing with that, in which I saw both with that. So State of Play was a movie with Russell Crowe, Ben Affleck. Very good movie. Saw the movie first. And then I watched the TV show. I went and picked up the TV show on DVD. And it is a very good TV show. But even like as I was watching the TV show, I'm thinking this is awesome, it's brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, and all that. But I know what's coming, and so it just yeah, I guess it didn't hit me as hard as what I think it would have done if I'd have seen it fresh. But because the movie did a very good job of translating it, I guess I just thought, well, that was good. But there you go. So yeah. Edge of Darkness. I like the film. Saw it at the cinema. I really liked it. £2 pickup on Blu-ray. Can't go wrong. Like I say, I'm not in any rush to watch the series. So what have we got here? Is that looks like Henry Cavill. See, I pick up these things and I don't even know what they are. Yeah, again, like Poundland. So this is a film by Joel Schumacher of Batman and Robin fame. That's unfair because he has made some really good films like Falling Down, Tigerland, Lost Boys, things like that. Yeah, one terrible film shouldn't sully an entire career. Schumacher made some classics in his own right. But yeah, this straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray kind of fare by the look of it, now being sold on the fact that Henry Cavill is in it. When I think the star of it seems to be Dominic Purcell. He is the one who is listed first in the credits. Henry Cavill looks very young there, so clearly they're cashing in. But I've not seen it. Blood Creek, Joel Schumacher film. Something to do with Nazis there. Somebody got a Nazi swastika burned into the back of their head. So yeah, it looks interesting. Yeah, we'll see. So this is part of the premium collection. Wolfen. I got this from HMV because they were doing two for 12, I think it was, or two for 15, something like that. 2 for 12, I think it was, on the premium collection. And this is the one I wanted. I have actually reviewed it, and I've got it coming up here, which is Wait Until Dark. So I wanted this one because it looked like it was going to be, a really good werewolf movie. I mean, look at that cover. That screams werewolf movie to me. And I needed to get another one because it was 2 for 12, and I got Wait Until Dark. So that was the one I'd never really heard of, didn't know much about. It looked interesting, so I got that. Got them home, watched them both. This one was okay. Didn't really turn out to be a werewolf movie in the end. Not really. It's got wolves in it. It's got a lot of the trappings of a werewolf movie, but in the end, it's not really a werewolf movie. It's just about a bunch of wild animals kind of running loose. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Whereas Wait Until Dark, which I'm going to pull out here, hopefully not barrel all these over my desk, which would be very embarrassing. Yeah, Wait Until Dark was the one that I picked up just to use the offer, really, and it ended up being a really great film. I reviewed it on my channel not so long ago. If you've not seen Wait Until Dark, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. Okay, what's this? Not gonna lie, Brian, Cody, and CP have an interesting selection of horror movies. Yes, we do. This is a film called Standoff. You can see there. Again, it's one of those. It's kind of like a straight to DVD type vibe about it, but it's all mostly in one location, which is in this house. This guy ends up having to defend this girl from these people who are after her, and it's really good. The performance by the girl in it, I can't remember her name. I think this was her first film role, if I'm not mistaken, and she's not even. Oh, there we go, Ella Ballantyne. So I've seen her in something else since. I can't remember what, but Ella Ballantyne, I think this was her first role. Certainly the first thing I saw her in. She gave a really great performance in it. Kind of one of them that makes you take note and think she's going somewhere. But it's above that. On top of that, it's just a really solid film. For like one of them things that you're just not expecting anything from. It's got two really great actors in it, in Thomas Jane and Lawrence Fishburne, and they chew up the scenery. And yeah, it was a nice surprise, and it's not that long, 93 minutes, hour and a half. It's one of those you can just bash on and be done with 90 minutes, and it was an enjoyable ride. I will watch it again. Next up, one of my favorite Jason Statham films, Safe. I think this is really well directed. I think the action sequences in it are great. I think the ending is a little bit anticlimactic because they build up this kind of badass hitman that he's going to have to go up against at some point, and then this dude's just taken out, like boom, that's it, it's gone. And it's just like, oh well, that was disappointing. But the rest of the film is really great. Is one of Statham's best, I would say. Next up is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I really like the Harry Potter films. I so far have really enjoyed these two Fantastic Beasts movies. I know the last one got quite a lot of flack. I don't know if that was because people genuinely believed it was a bad movie, or because at that particular time there was a lot of stuff surrounding Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and all that, and at the time people were maybe leaning on the side of Amber Heard. More fool then, is all I can say. But yeah, no, I like both the Fantastic Beasts movies, so happy to have that in the collection. Next up, again, Poundland, £2. Watched this just the other night. It's Mimic 2. Yes, with no affiliation whatsoever to Guillermo del Toro. But as far as a low-budget, straight-to-DVD sequel goes, it's not bad. It's actually quite a decent film. Some pretty nice kind of physical special effects work in it. The characters are likable enough. It's fairly generic, but I enjoyed it. I did. I got more out of it than I was expecting. I think it takes a while to get going. First half hour, you're kind of like, oh man, they don't have a budget, do they? They really don't have a budget. But then you get past the half-hour mark and stuff starts to kick off, and you're like, all right, okay, they do have some budget. They've just saved it all for the back half of the film. So yeah, it's good. It kind of follows the blueprint of the first film, but just does it on a lesser scale without the directorial skill that would be employed if we had Guillermo del Toro. Speak of the devil. Shape of Water. I didn't. I wasn't massive on this film like a lot of people were, but I have only seen it once, and I could have been in the wrong mood at the time. I still thought it was very good. Thought it was a very good film, but there was stuff about it for me that kind of put me off. I want to see it again before I get into full-on review territory with it. But I have reviewed most of Del Toro's work on my channel. I do like him quite a bit as a director. I think if nothing else, he certainly makes interesting films. So yeah, I want to give this another go, and it did win Best Picture at the Oscars. And as much as I often say that the Oscars don't mean a damn thing, I still like to own every Best Picture. some not so much as others. But yeah, I'm happy to have that in the collection. Next up, and I got this purely for the fact that Dwayne Johnson is in it. It's Empire State. Again, £2 from Poundland. Can't go wrong. Was this from Poundland? Did I get this one from Poundland, or did I get... No, I think I got this for 50p, actually, at a charity shop. This wasn't a Poundland pickup. This was a charity shop pickup. 50p. So, again, like I say, even if it's a load of crap, it's far less than the price of what a rental would have been. And I like Dwayne Johnson. It doesn't matter what he's in. He's always a watchable presence in it. Even if the film that he's in isn't that great, he's still very watchable. I think Dwayne Johnson is probably one of my favourite action stars at the minute. Glenn Parson, I liked Shape of Water. Only saw it for first time last year. Some Neat Safe is extremely underrated. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is as well. Troy, Fantastic Beasts is basically before Harry Potter, I believe. Yes, it is. It is a prequel, and it's good. I've been enjoying it. So this is a TV series. Next up is The Haunting of Hill House. I got onto this through a friend, Joseph Lionel. He really bigged it up. Really pushed it. And then I saw Dr. Sleep. First I saw, what was the other one by the director? What's his name? Mike Flanagan. So he did the other Stephen King adaptation. Someone help me out in the comments. What was it? Where she's tied to the bed. Cannot remember. You probably know the one I'm talking about. He did that one. I watched that. Thought it was incredible, except for the ending. The ending was a bit okay, but everything up to that point was really damn good. Dr. Sleep was amazing. So yeah, when Joe, my friend Joe, started talking about this, told me it's from the same director, I was like, I've got to get it. So I've not watched this yet. I have it on good authority that it is worth having, so I bought it. There you go. Gerald's Game. Thank you, Brandon. Yes, that is the one that I was talking about. I can never remember the name of that film, Gerald's Game, because when I think Gerald's Game, I think of the short film that Pixar made where that guy is playing chess with himself. So even when the name Gerald's Game popped into my head, I don't think of the horror movie adaptation of the Stephen King story. I think of Disney Pixar kind of stuff. Whatever. I'm sure that's something you didn't need to know, but there you go. Some Neat says one of Dwayne Johnson's underrated films is Snitch. Did I saw that one, didn't I? Yes, Snitch was good. I liked Snitch. What's the one that I didn't like that much? Faster, I think it was. I think Faster had... I think I liked the stuff with Dwayne Johnson in Faster, but there was a side story, a B-plot kind of thing with this hitman that just seemed to go nowhere, and they spent far too much time on. But yeah, I always get Snitch and Faster confused because I think they came out around about the same time. Could be totally wrong on that, but yeah. Brandon, I haven't seen Dr. Sleep yet. I want to read both The Shining and the actual book, Dr. Sleep. Well worth it. Not the books. I can't comment on the books because I've never read the books, but certainly The Shining is one of the best horror movies ever made, and Dr. Sleep was just so much better than it had any right to be, basically. Yeah. John Strunk, have you ever watched the original Walking Tall trilogy from the 70s? I've not. I do really like the Dwayne Johnson film, though, the remake that he did. That's one of my guilty pleasures, and it's like 80 minutes long. I think it's less. It's like 75 minutes. It's a really short film. So if you you got a bit of time to kill and you need to get out the door pretty soon, then, you know, slap that on. Fun time. Good time is had, and then you can get on your merry way. Yeah, there aren't enough films like that, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. Next up, a few bonds. I couldn't believe these were £2. Again, like I say, Poundland, awesome stuff. Spy Who Loved Me. I basically just picked up each of the the best film, what I deem to be the best film by each of the Bonds. So Spy Who Loved Me by Roger Moore, which is clearly his best Bond film, I think. And he did agree as well. He always listed it as his personal favourite, Roger Moore. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, obviously not hard to be his best because he only did the one, but it is one of the best Bond films. It's a shame it wasn't a Sean Connery one, because then it had been elevated even further, I think. But yeah, Peter Hunt does a good job on the direction of that, I think. And my personal favourite of the Sean Connerys, Dr. No, his first. I know most people would say Goldfinger. I really like Goldfinger, but for me, Dr. No was a lot more low-key. Felt a lot more espionage, which I know isn't a word, but yeah, I like the flavour of it a lot more. And I think I do prefer the villain as well. I think Dr. No's a better villain than Goldfinger himself. But there you go. We don't get an odd job, you know. We don't get like a henchman with a parlor trick of some description, which kind of became a Bond thing. But no, it's good. It's a good movie. Next up is a film called Shadow. I've not seen this yet, but I'm a big fan of Zhang Yimou, the director. So he made House of Flying Daggers, Hero, Curse of the Golden Flower, and he did a lot more before those in his native China. You know, his films like Red Sorghum, which is really great. Raise the Red Lantern. He's got a really great filmography. Fantastic director. And he directed the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics as well and did a stellar job on that. But there you go. Another one is the Amityville Horror, the original Amityville Horror. I have reviewed this on my channel. I am working my way up to doing a movie evangelist video on it as well. For those who don't know, I have another channel called The Movie Evangelist, where I take a look at movies through the lens of faith. So it's just a way of helping people to connect to faith through film. So if that's not for you, I won't be offended. But if it is, check that out. The Movie Evangelist. Right. Next up, this is a trilogy of films by director Takashi Miike, who he has done some really good stuff. He's also done some stuff that's been questionable for me, to be honest. But not because of the quality, more the content. So this is Dead or Alive. There's 3 films in this. Dead or Alive 2, Birds, and Dead or Alive Final, it's just called. He's an interesting filmmaker. He's directed over 100 movies, which just blows my mind big time. I long for the day when I've actually directed my first actual feature film and not just a documentary feature, but to do 100 movies, 2 movies a year, essentially, more than that, more than 2 movies a year. It's just, I think this guy in 1 year at one point made 8 movies. If my memory serves me correct, I could be slightly wrong on the number, but something like 6 to 8 movies in 1 year. The dude is just married to film. But on top of that, he makes good movies. You know, he's done some really great stuff. So that's, yeah, I know nothing about these other than what it tells you on the back. I know nothing about them. They're gangster movies of some description. Never seen them, know nothing about them, but Takashi Miike is responsible for them, and that was enough to say, you know what, I'm going to get them. Boom. A couple of DC movies now, just animated ones. Constantine. I know this was a web series, I think, and then they've kind of spliced it together to make a movie. I've been told it's actually quite better than that would sound, I guess, would be the key, because that doesn't fill me with confidence when it's a web series that they've cobbled together into a movie. But no, apparently, boom, it is pretty good. And same thing, same again, really. Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons. They did the same thing, web series. Then they put it together in a movie afterwards. But it's the same team that do all the DC animated movies. So it's going to be along the same kind of quality. If you like that stuff, then yeah. Speaking of which, Superman, the Man of Tomorrow. This was a decent one. I watched this when I bought it and I enjoyed it. I'm not the biggest fan of the character Lobo. I didn't really like him in Superman the Animated Series. I'm not overly keen on him in this movie. I'm more interested in everything else that's going on. Though I did recently watch the TV show Krypton, which I highly recommend to anyone who's a fan of Superman. Such a great series. It got cancelled. I'm gutted by it getting cancelled because it was such a good show. I just literally binge watched both seasons last week. It was fantastic. And Lobo in that series is great. He's hilarious. It's a really good take. It makes me see why somebody would like the character, which I've never quite got from him in the comic books or any other kind of TV iteration of him. So that would be the first. But there you go. Now this is a really good one for £2 again. Poundland, Zootropolis or Zootopia, depending on which country you live in. Over here it was called Zootropolis. In America it's Zootopia. But either way, Disney. Is it a Pixar one? No, it's not. It's just Disney in it. But it's fantastic. It's one of Disney's best, I think. It's a really great animated film. Hits some really good emotional spots, and is quite funny as well throughout. Let's have a look. Let's see what some of these comments we're getting. Glenn, I agree on Spy Who Loved Me. Love that it's actually my favourite Bond. Yep. Me and Brian are diehard Bond fanatics. Yes, I do like Bond films. I hate the hate that Daniel Craig gets. I just don't understand it from supposed Bond fans. He is my favourite Bond, but there you go. Skulder22, every time I watch On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I like it more and more. Yeah, same here. First time I watched it, I was just like, yeah, I don't think I was really paying that much attention. I think it's mostly because I'd heard that, another actor had taken over as Bond and he was generally considered to just not be as good. And so that's all I could think about really when I was watching it. But when you get past that and you actually let's just look at the film, the story, the characters, the take on Bond, the way it's directed. It's actually one of the best Bond movies, It's if you trade out Lazenby for Connery, stick Connery in that part instead, you'd have a close contender for the best Bond film, without a doubt. Kirsty Bacon, talking of Sean Connery, do you like Highlander? I do like Highlander. I've not seen it for some time, many years in fact, but at one point, believe it or not, it was my favourite film. Yeah, like that. It's been about 20 years since I've seen it, but so the first film that I had that was my favorite, where when I first started getting into movies, and I'm like, well, and if somebody said, what was your favorite film? The first time I could have answered that question, the answer would have been Critters. For the longest time, I say longest time. As a kid, it feels like ages, but it was probably like 2 years. So Critters was my favorite film for about 2 years. Then Highlander was my favorite film for a year or so after that. And then the 1989 Batman kind of took the throne then from there on out and remained for many, many years, to be honest. I think he got knocked off at one point by True Romance. But yeah, so Highlander definitely has a place, certainly a nostalgic place for me, because at one point in my life, I could have said to you, it's my favorite film. I watched it so many times in my early teenage years. So yeah. Somebody, Brian, come on, brother. Dr. No, over Goldfinger, you're killing me. No, I just Dr. No was the first Connery Bond that I intentionally saw. I knew a lot of Connery stuff from his movies as a kid. They'd be on in the background. My dad would be watching them, and it'd be like, yeah, I get it. So if things would crop up, I'd be like, I know that's Bond. I know it's Connery. I couldn't tell you what film it's from. But then a few years ago, when I made the decision to sit down and I've got to watch all the Bond movies. There were a couple, there were a few, all the Craig ones I knew, all the Pierce Brosnan ones I knew quite considerably. And there was, A View to a Kill I knew because I was raised on A View to a Kill and that kind of thing. So yeah, sat down with the intention to watch Bond movies, Dr. No being the first, and I just really enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting. Maybe that's why, I don't know, but I just have more affection for that film. Daniel Skinner, thank you for the super chat there. $5. Thank you. Brian, what is your favorite DreamWorks animated film? That would be their first, which was The Prince of Egypt. So when their studio kind of first got going, I think Peacemaker, the George Clooney film, was their first film that they released, their first studio film from DreamWorks. If I'm not mistaken, I could be totally plucking this out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure their first film that they produced was The Peacemaker. Or Peace, I think it might have just been called Peacemaker, no, that, but I don't know. A good film, anyway. I really liked it. I know it didn't get the best critical response, but I would have liked to have seen a sequel. I'd have liked George Clooney to carry that character on. But their first animated movie was The Prince of Egypt, which at first I kind of raised my eyebrow at. I thought, oh no, great, Hollywood trying to do an animated biblical epic. It's just going to be like, it's people who have faith are going to be offended probably, and probably have good reason to be. But no, I watched it and I thought it was very tastefully done, very good, absolutely brilliant animated film. Great voice work, quite emotional, really taps into what the biblical story is all about. Yeah, loved it. Still my favorite. I still don't think they've done as well. I like How to Train Your Dragon. I like all three How to Train Your Dragons. The first two Kung Fu Pandas are really good, but no, I still think their first one was the best. So Daniel back again with another super chat. Thank you for that, Daniel. Technically, their first film was Ants. The Prince of Egypt was their second film. Was it? Okay, I'm going to have to check on that now. But I always thought their first animated film was, unless it's because it's their first hand-drawn animated film. That might be where I'm getting confused there. But I'm not going to look that up. I'll take your word for it. I'm guessing it's because it was their first hand-drawn one. I don't know that they've done any more hand-drawn on those, to be honest. I know they did like some straight to DVD stuff, like the what's it called? The brain fart now, it's gone. Anyway, I'll take your word on that. But I know that I'm pretty sure that Peacemaker was their first like live action film. But yeah, feel free to correct me on that one as well. But thank you for those super chats, mate. Very much appreciated. Where are we? Harry, yes, I'm thinking of Yourself Locked Up with Sylvester Stallone. It is a very underrated film. Yeah, Locked Up was quite good. And Brian, what score would you give Spectre? Well, I have reviewed it on my channel. I think I gave it, I certainly wouldn't give it any higher than a 4 out of 5, but I don't think I'd give it any lower than a 3.5 as well. So I can't actually remember the score I gave it. I'm thinking I probably gave it a 3.5, but if I was feeling generous, I probably would have given it a 4. I think the first 2/3 of that movie are dynamite Bond. Excellent Bond film. I think it all starts to disappear down the toilet a little bit, not completely. It's just not quite as good in that final third. Once Blofeld properly comes into it, and it all goes a little bit convoluted and whatnot. People pee all over Quantum of Solace for that compound at the end exploding, but at least with that, a car is crashed into the damn thing, and then the car kind of explodes, which leads to gas tanks exploding. That's more reasonable to me than Bond taking a shot at one gas canister, which then literally annihilates the entire complex. People don't seem to complain about that bit as much as they do with the stuff from Quantum of Solace, which feels very selective to me. But yeah, anyway, that's the point where it just kind of really seems to start to go downhill. But up until that point, it's a great Bond film. Let's have a look. Joseph, King of Dreams, is the spiritual prequel to the Prince of Egypt. Yes, Daniel, that's the one I was trying to think of. I define myself as the Dreamworks animated specialist. Okay, well, I will definitely take your word on anything you have to say on that then. I know everything about all 40 films. Wow. I didn't even know they'd done that many animated films, to be honest. Is that including straight to DVD stuff, or you just that can't just be cinema releases? They couldn't have done that many cinema releases. I don't know. Maybe they have. Let me know. Oh, you've already said yes, there are 40. I'm counting the straight to DVD Joseph Kings of Dreams film. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Kirsty Bacon, just wanted to put this out there, Brian. I thoroughly enjoy watching your reviews. You're very articulate, and I first discovered you on Autop Stream, and my ears always pierced when you voiced your opinions. A little bit of a pause there, just for dramatic effect. Thank you for that. But yeah, right. Let's get back to it. So more Blu-rays. Again, £2 pickups. Don John. This is directorial debut from Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who also stars in the film. It's got some really great actors in it as well. You know, Julianne Moore, Scarlett Johansson. It got a lot of really great reviews when it came out. The thing that put me off for the longest time is the fact that it is an 18 and it is about a porn star. So I'm like, where are they going to go with that then? You know, so I'm like, but the you know, the reviews seem to suggest that actually it's got something to say about that world and about being in that world that might be of value. So we'll see. I'll get around to watching it at some point. Again, Takashi Miike, I've kind of been picking up a lot of his stuff recently. Terraformers. Takashi Miike's Terraformers. It looks proper lame from that cover, if I'm being perfectly honest. But it's an Arrow release. You know, they do a really good job with their releases. Even films that are like average, they do releases for them that kind of make you want to have them still, because the documentaries they have on them and things like that are just almost as entertaining as the films themselves at times. So, and again, like I say, Takashi Miike, he's only let me down a couple of times so far from what I've seen of his. Admittedly, I'm far from seeing the majority of his body of work, given, as I've already stated, the amount of films he's already made. But yeah, I'm excited for No Time to Die. That's Harry Brady. Yeah, me too. I hope it's good. I feel like already though the fanboys are just ruining that film. It's not even been released yet, and people are just they've got knives out for it because they're hearing things about it. That it's just wait and see. You just wait for the film to flipping come out before we start second guessing what's going to happen in it and what it's about and this, that, and the other. No one knows because they've not seen it, and it just annoys me these days. This fanboy culture of it's being negative about everything, negativity, and it's like YouTubers as well, where they've got like just this past few weeks, I'm so sick of the sight of thumbnails of Wonder Woman 1984 with the words epic fail on it. It's just like, what are you getting out of that? It's just, if you didn't like the film, fine, move on, but whatever. Okay. That was my little rant out of the way. Waterworld. I never watched the theatrical cut of Waterworld all the way through. It got totally savaged by critics. I saw bits of it on TV, and I think there was that whole self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing where, because I've told myself for so long that it must be a bad film if there's this much hate. Then I think when I saw bits of it on TV, I guess I just intentionally picked it apart and just never took much notice of it, never bothered watching it all the way through. But when they released this Ulysses cut that had the extra half hour, it intrigued me. I thought that intrigues me that Arrow would put so much into a release like that, into the release of a film that was so universally panned, and it intrigued me. And then when I started hearing reviews about it, and almost like there's been like a reassessment of the film, and there's a lot more good reviews out there of it these days than there used to be. So that intrigued me as well. So I picked it up, and it's a damn good film. That Ulysses cut. Again, I've still not seen the theatrical cut. I just went straight to the Ulysses cut. 3 hours long. It's a really great film. It sets up the world beautifully. It does really good world building. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Waterworld. I will get around to watching the theatrical cut at some point. Alex Roof, since you like Critters, do you also like the Tremors movie? I like the first Tremors movie. I love the first Tremors movie, actually. I watched it quite a lot when I was a kid. I still prefer Critters. I think admittedly, I think it's probably not as well made, but I think that's mostly down to the budget constraints. I think Tremors had a lot more to work with. But no, yeah, I love the first Tremors. Still need to get around to watching the sequels, but I'm not holding out much hope that they're going to be that great. Christina Healy, Sir Billy is one of the weirdest animated films I've seen, and it's Sean Connery's last film that he had done, and he came out of retirement to do it. Okay. I've never heard of it. I'll be perfectly honest, I've never heard of it, but I will have to look out for that one. Zombieland 2 Double Tap, not quite as good as the first one, but still highly entertaining, must be said. I really like Rosario Dawson as well. She's in this one, and yeah, she's just a very likable presence on screen, is Rosario Dawson. This one, so World on a Wire. It's actually a TV series. It says it's a film by Rainer Werner Fassbinder, but I believe it was like a limited TV series kind of thing. Never seen it. I was intrigued when I saw this packaging, just because it's by Second Sight. Second Sight are a boutique label that really do great packages. Even if you've never seen the film, they're worth getting just because of how much they put into them. And my friend Graham over at Man v Film, who I also do a podcast with, he bought it and said he loved it and highly recommended it. So I bit the bullet and I bought it. I've still not gotten around to watching it, but yeah, looking forward to that one. I'm a big science fiction fan, so that it just sounds right up my street, to be honest. Speaking of science fiction, we've got the Planet of the Apes box set. All 8 Planet of the Apes films, it says there. It is missing more for the Planet of the Apes, but I have that on Blu-ray already. But yeah, I got this for £20 in a bargain bucket at HMV, which I think, it's Blu-ray, it's not DVD. So, yeah, incredible steal, I would say. Really great deal. Really great deal and an incredible steal. That kind of rhymes, and I should stop doing that. Okay. Again, Takashi Miike fix. I bought a lot of Takashi Miike films, and considering I've not seen any of them, this could be quite the gamble. So this is a box set, 2 films called Graveyards of Honor. So apparently, Graveyard of Honor, it was a 1975 Japanese film, and I've never heard of it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But Takashi Miike remade it, did his own version of it in 2002, and Arrow have released a box set with both versions of the film and a little booklet in there. And it's a nice looking set, and that's kind of why I got it. Again, I got it because of Takashi Miike, and I got it because it's a nice looking set by Arrow, and these boutique label stuff, they don't tend to decrease in their value. So even if you end up not particularly enjoying the film, you can always sell them on at a pretty reasonable price if you look on Amazon, because they tend to be limited in number as well, and people tend to miss the boat when they're originally released and then regret it and want them afterwards. But as I did with, what did I do it with? I did it with a particular release. Missed the boat on. Oh no, I thought I'd missed the boat on the Zootropolis box set, but little realizing that my wife had actually bought it me for Christmas, so that was nice. Yeah. Skulls of 22. I've always loved Waterworld. Harry Brady Bryan. Would you prefer Skyfall or Spectre from Daniel Craig's movies? It's no contest. Skyfall all the way. It's not only the best of Craig's movies, it's the second best Bond film. I'm not going to tell you what the best is, although you could easily work it out if you've seen my reviews. So Yeah, I may as well just tell you. It's Casino Royale. So my top 2 Bond films are Casino Royale and Skyfall, which is sacrilege to many Bond fans who seem to be on the Daniel Craig hate train, but not me. Colin David critiques, Brian, are you an Elton John fan? Did you see Rocket Man? I have not seen Rocket Man. I have it on DVD. Bizarrely managed to pick it up in a charity shop for £1, mostly because people in charity shops don't seem to know what the heck they're doing. I get quite a lot of new releases in charity shops. Not at the moment, like with COVID, because they've all shut down. But yeah, oftentimes, you know, I can walk across the street from my local Asda, where movies are still like £7, £10, and I'll find it in a charity shop for £1, literally because the staff don't know what they're doing. I don't really know why I needed to tell you that, but there you go. Yeah, I own Rocket Man. I've yet to see it. Am I an Elton John fan? I wouldn't say I'm a fan. You know, I don't have to own everything he's ever done, but I do like quite a lot of his songs. You know, I'm the kind of guy who has a greatest hits kind of thing, but I wouldn't have all of his albums. And I love the song that appeared in Almost Famous, that Tiny Dancer. So Tiny Dancer is a great song. So yeah, no, he's without doubt a talented guy. Don't know if I like him all that much on a personal level. From what I know about him, I don't know, but like I say, I will watch the film, definitely. That's why I bought it. I'm not going to buy something I'm not going to watch it, am I? Just stupid. Okay, Brandon, Tremors 3 was the only sequel I watched the most as a kid, next to the original. Okay. I do have the last 2 sequels. Again, charity shop purchases. Gotta love them. So that was another one. So literally the last sequel to come out, and the week that it came out, I walked into a charity shop, found it for £1. I'm just like, yeah, there you go. Check your charity shops, people. Brian, do you have updates on CP's health? I don't, and if I did, it wouldn't be mine to give. So yeah, you just need to, you either need to get that from CP or get that from Emily. I know that CP isn't really hitting social media at the moment, but if you know Emily on Facebook, if you are friends with her on Facebook, she will keep people updated. But beyond that, it's not my place to say whether or not I know anything, and if I did, what, you know, yeah. So moving on. Alex Roof. All I will say is that, you know, we love the guy and we wish him all the best, and we hope he's been struggling with health problems for so long. We want him back in the saddle. So Alex Roof, I love watching the 31 on 31st lists. Please keep them coming. We will, for as long as we can. I think eventually we'll run out of franchises and we will be scraping the bottom of the barrel to the point that it will just be torture to do these things. So yeah, but you know, for now it's looking good. We've got the next couple of years kind of earmarked as to what we're going to be doing. So stay tuned. Colin David critiques, this may be selfish, lol, but I wish people liked Tenet more. I didn't have issues with the sound at all. I loved Tenet. Loved it. And I watched it again just the other night for the 3rd time, and I loved it even more. It's one of those films that gets better and better with each watch. Absolute gold. It's a great film. It's not often that I would say, if you didn't like it, you just didn't get it. But this is the only occasion where I would pull it out because I genuinely think it's true. And I think most people who don't like it seem to admit that they don't get it. And it is a very dense film. It's very, very dense. If you're not sat there really paying attention, you are not going to get it. Because the simplest of things that means so much within the context of the film, if you're paying attention, if you miss it, that's it. It's gone, and you're not. Yeah. So, but no, it's a great film. It definitely credits the audience with intelligence, which is why I love Christopher Nolan in general. This has turned into a bit of a Q&A, hasn't it? Let's get back to some Blu-rays, shall we? Reservoir Dogs, pick this up because obviously we are going to be doing the 31 on the 31st with Nolan, Tarantino, and Fincher. 3 great directors. I've seen this numerous times, but it had been a while since I'd seen it, so I thought it's time to pick it up on Blu-ray. It's a very good film. I wouldn't have ranked it that highly in my Tarantino list, to be honest, until revisiting it again this time. I was kind of like, you know what? Actually, that's a damn good film, isn't it? For a debut feature, that is a damn good film. So yeah, there you go. I've been through all them, haven't I? Okay. Next up, Moana, which is, for my money, Disney's best animated film. Call me crazy. Many people do. But there you go. The soundtrack is fantastic. Just not a single song on it that I would jettison. Tenet. I've said my piece on that just a few minutes ago. I watched it again the other night. X-Men, Dark Phoenix. I think this film is underrated. I watched it for the second time again just the other night. I watched it on Blu-ray. It's not quite as good as I really liked it when I came out of the cinema watching it, and I didn't quite understand the hate. I watched it again, like I say, the other night on Blu-ray, and a few of the criticisms that I've heard do actually make sense, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I just maybe missed that first time around, but I still think people have gone overboard, as they have a tendency to do these days. I still think it's a really good X-Men film. Certainly not bottom of the barrel. CK78, thank you for that super chat, mate. That's very much appreciated. Hey Brian, I always forget that you can actually highlight these. So my apologies to Daniel for not having done that, but there you go. So yeah, hey Brian, ever think we will see a Godzilla versus Gamera crossover? Let's just get to the Godzilla versus Kong first, shall we? One step at a time. I will have to say, I couldn't tell you your Gamera from your King Ghidorahs, and I can tell you a King Ghidorahs now because I saw that last film, but I can't say I know the Japanese. I know they did tons of these movies in the native Japan, and obviously they're very famous. I have seen the original Godzilla, but that's the only one of the original Japanese movies that I've seen. So I couldn't tell you who Gamera is, but I imagine yes, to be perfectly honest, as long as these movies make money. If Godzilla versus Kong makes money, which I'm sure it will, they're going to do another one. And if that makes money, they're going to do another one. And if that makes money, they're going to do another one. These things will roll on and on and on for as long as they're making money. And for as long as they're rolling on, they're going to need to keep introducing new monsters. So at some point, whoever Gamera is, I'm sure they'll get to him. So my answer is yes. I think they will. Everybody wants an MCU. Warner Brothers, this is their MCU, because clearly their DCEU isn't working for them at the moment. It's working for me. I love what they've been putting out with the DCEU, but obviously, criticism-wise, they're not doing that well. Most X-Men movies are average at best. Come on. It's a little unfair. X-Men 2, it's a 5-star film. Logan, it's a 5-star film. Days of Future Past, for me, it's a 5-star film. First Class, for me, it's a 5-star film. Those 4, they are top tier, excellent X-Men films. The rest, I would say, range from to it was good. So yeah, but yes, Skull of 22, Dark Phoenix is not as bad as people say it is. Totally agree. God, no. Goblet of Fire, best Harry Potter movie? No. Order of the Phoenix there, my friend. Absolutely. Okay, St. Vincent, very good film. I've only seen this the once, but long before Melissa McCarthy was nominated for her Oscar, long before there was all the talk of what a great dramatic actress she is, I saw her in this and thought to myself, you know what, one day she's going to be baiting the Oscars, because she's incredible in this movie. You know, she's like, before I saw her in this, a lot of people were just like, well, yeah, she's the comedy actress, blah, blah, blah. But actually, even in a lot of her comedies, she's able to switch very well from comedy to just moments instantly of like, wow, incredibly dramatic stuff. What was I've got one of hers. Cannot remember it. Oh, here we go. Identity Thief. So there's a moment in Identity Thief. So that's like your typical kind of Melissa McCarthy comedy. It is Melissa McCarthy, isn't it? Yes, it is. Just check. So that's just that typical kind of comedy that you get with her. And then there's a moment in that where she's just sat across a table in a restaurant. I can't remember the scene exactly, but there's a moment where she gives this kind of monologue, and it just, all of a sudden you've gone into complete drama, and she sells it. I think she's a great actress. I really do. I'm not that big on a lot of her comedies. I'm not the comedy guy, but I definitely think she's got the chops. And I first saw it in St. Vincent, which is a very good film. So yeah. Sleepless, picked this up from HMV in a deal. I think I got it for about £3. I like Michelle Monaghan. I like Jamie Foxx as well, but I really do like Michelle Monaghan. This looked like one of those movies that's going to be just like an average kind of action flick, but probably something that I'll be able to put on one night when I'm really not in the mood to concentrate or go deep. It's probably the kind of film that I will pick off the shelf and think, yeah, tonight is your night. Sleepless. Hit me. So yeah, we'll see. Let's have a look at some of these. 5-star. You need help, bud. I don't dispute that. But hey ho, there you go. My new obsessions are Annihilation, Ex Machina, and Possessor by Cronenberg Jr. Yes, Annihilation and Ex Machina for me are absolutely outstanding. I have done a video essay on Annihilation over on my other channel, The Movie Evangelist. So if that's something that interests you, check that out. So the channel is called The Movie Evangelist. And like I say, I've done an essay on Annihilation, which really goes into what I personally think we can get from the film, what it's saying. So yeah, check that out. Brandon, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the best Harry Potter for me. It's up there. For me, I just think Order of the Phoenix is the one that just works as a film. I've never read the books, so I'm not interested in how faithful it is to the book or whatever. All I know is that as a film, structurally, regards to the tension, regards to the plot, and the what's at stake and how it's resolved, I just think it's the best film by a good mile. Brian, have you seen the movie Unlawful Entry with Kurt Russell? Yes, I have, and I really like it. And I have it tucked away back here somewhere on DVD because I do intend on reviewing it at some point. I really like that film. I was I had a big thing for Madeleine Stowe back in the early mid-90s. 12 Monkeys, kind of sort of that. Unlawful Entries. Yeah, a really good film. Let's have a look. James Bond, License to Kill, thoughts on Joker sequel. I have no thoughts on a Joker sequel except to say that if it's as good as the first one, then bring it. The first one didn't sound like a good idea to me at all, or to anyone for that matter. And then when we got the footage coming out, and then when we actually saw the film, it was like, okay, I'll just shut my mouth and throw away the key because that was damn good. Best film of the year. So I'm going to keep my gob shut on that one until I see it. I'm not going to voice an opinion because I was blown away by the first one. So just let them do what they do, and we'll see what happens. Hey, Brian, favourite PTA film? That would be Magnolia, which is still in my top 5 movies of all time and was at one point my number 1 movie of all time. It's just absolute masterpiece. But There Will Be Blood is also up there for me. It's just, he's one of my favourite filmmakers. Absolutely brilliant filmmaker. Next up. The Irishman. So this is the only Criterion Collection Blu-ray that I own. I think this is one of Scorsese's best films, to be honest. This is another one of those instances where people call me crazy, but I like this more than Goodfellas. I think it's better than Goodfellas. I got more immersed in the story for this one than I did for Goodfellas. It's a nice looking set, and it was expensive. I don't normally like paying $25.99 for one movie. But when the movie's 4 hours long, I figured you're getting your money's worth. It's one I'm happy to have, must be said. And again, Criterion, they tend to be something of a collector's item a few years down the line when people can't get their hands on it anymore. Next up is a film called Clash. I remember reading about this, reading reviews of it when it came out. It's one of those kind of one location type movies. It's all set within a riot van, a police van or something. There's a riot going on outside, and it's all from the perspective of the person inside this prison van. Sounds interesting. It's had a lot of good reviews. And who was it? Tom Hanks. So apparently Tom Hanks wrote a letter to the director after having seen it, just gushing over it, apparently. That intrigues me. Trainspotting 2, £2. I wasn't that keen, to be honest, on this film when it came out in the cinema, but my friend Graham, he loved it, absolutely loved it, and I'm a big Danny Boyle fan. I've really liked most of his work to some degree. So I figure I'll buy it as it's only £2 and give it another go, because sometimes that first watch it can all be down to the mood you're in, whatever. A number of factors can come into play. So I'm prepared to give it a go. Speaking of Graham, this was a present off him this year. He sent me this in the post over Christmas, So it's called Road Games. It's got Stacey Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis in it. And I watched it just the other night. It's from 1981. And it was very good. I thought it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting it to be a lot darker, a lot more serious. And it is quite a dark film. But it's also quite humorous in many ways. Mostly because of the character played by Stacey Keach. He's just this really likable kind of dude in it. So I enjoyed it, and I will probably get around to doing a review at some point for that soon. Last one of the bunch, Captain Fantastic, starring Viggo Mortensen. I'm pretty sure CP really liked this movie, if I recall correctly. I'm pretty sure it was quite high on his end of year list. I like Viggo Mortensen a lot. Really incredible actor. And this guy has become someone that I really enjoy watching. What's his name? He's not in the credits because obviously when this film came out, he wasn't that big a deal. But he's the dude from 1917. Played the main character in 1917. But I've seen him in a few things where he's just been really great. He's a great British talent at the moment. So yeah, again, like I said, that was I got that one from HMV in a deal. I think that, I don't know, about $3.99 maybe. So yeah, good word of mouth, great actors. I like the look of it. We'll see how it goes. I'll just catch up on a few of these comments and then I'll say good night, I think, because I've gone through them all. I've got another 2 shelves up there, so expect another couple of videos like this over the coming weeks. Yeah. School to 22. Sleepless is a remake of a French film. I have both that and the original. I did not know it was a remake. If you've seen the original, let me know what you think of it. Let me know how you think the remake compares if you've seen that as well. Unlawful Entry is great. A similar movie is Lakeview Terrace with Samuel L. Jackson. I would recommend that one too. Yeah, I've seen Lakeview Terrace. I watched it at the cinema, and as I was watching it at the cinema, I was sat there going, this is Unlawful Entry. Like, straight up, may as well be called a remake of Unlawful Entry. But no, you're right. It is a good film. I do think Unlawful Entry is better. But Lakeview Terrace is really good as well. Yeah. Brian, what is your favorite sci-fi film of all time? That would be Interstellar. And I also really love Blade Runner 2049. So I think those two would be vying for my favorite sci-fi of all time. And Terminator 2, of course, as well. I always forget to throw Terminator 2 in there because it's so action heavy. I think you instantly think of it as an action film, but it is a great sci-fi film as well. I've done an essay on it, not to plug my other channel again, but the Movie Evangelist. I've done a video essay on Terminator 2 over on that channel, the Movie Evangelist. Just because, like all great science fiction, it deals very heavily with certain themes about humanity. What does it mean to be human? Free will, fate, all that kind of stuff. It's a great film, such a great film. But yeah, those would be the 3 big ones for me: Interstellar, Terminator 2, and Blade Runner 2049. Does Top Gun Maverick interest you? Thoughts on the first Top Gun? Top Gun Maverick interests me. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it directed by the guy who did Tron Legacy? His name escapes me right now. Let me have a look. Top Gun Maverick. Yes, Joseph Kosinski. So Joseph Kosinski for me is an incredibly visual artist. So the 3 films that I think he's just made 3 at the minute. I could be wrong. I only know of 3. So he made Tron Legacy, Oblivion, and Only the Brave. All 3 of which I think are incredibly underrated, and incredibly visual. The dude knows how to capture amazing, stunning visuals. So yeah, and I've seen the trailer for Maverick, and it looks like his visual aesthetic is all over that film. He's doing things there that just look amazing. So for that alone, yeah, I definitely want to see it. And I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. However, the original Top Gun, no. I watched that again recently. I liked it as a kid. I watched it recently. I was just like, what the hell am I watching here? This is just like, yeah, it just felt like a music video to me, and nothing more. Very homoerotic music video. Sean Sheridan, thank you for the super chat there, mate. Very much appreciated. Hope CP will be okay. Great channel, just my thoughts, but I think Joker will cross over with RP Batman at some stage. Thoughts on Meet the Parents series? I would love for his Joker to cross over with Robert Pattinson Batman. I would love for that kid Bruce that we saw in Joker to be the Robert Pattinson Batman, but I don't think it's going to happen. Just because, just purely from an age perspective, like that's the Joker was set. Well, was it set in the 80s, or did it just go for an 80s aesthetic? Either way, Bruce was a kid in that film, so the age difference between that kid and Robert Pattinson, you're looking at like 20 years. So you'd have to put another 20 years on Joker. So you're going to have a 60-year-old Joker going up against a 20-something Batman, which I don't know, don't make much sense to me. I can't see that working. But if they get around it somehow, if they make it work, I would be all up for it, because damn, what we've seen so far from that Batman footage, it certainly looks like it could be in the same world. And Joaquin Phoenix as Joker was just, yeah, awesome. As for the Meet the Parents series, I can take it or leave it, to be honest. I don't tend to be the comedy guy. If you've seen my recent top 50 comedies movie, I know that surprised a lot of people, because the movies that are on there, a lot of people probably wouldn't class as comedies. Like In Bruges was like my number 2. It's a very, very dark comedy. A lot of, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I got some flack for putting that one on there, but to me, it's flipping hilarious. It's dark. It's depressing at times. It's really dramatic, but it's just so funny as well in the way the characters interact with each other. The dialogue in it is so witty, so clever. It's just, yeah, that stuff makes me laugh a lot more than something like Meet the Parents, which doesn't really fire me up, to be honest, that kind of film. But yeah, I did enjoy the one with Jessica Alba. There's a bit in that one where she takes a swan dive into a pool that doesn't have any water in it, if memory serves me correctly. And I remember that bit making me laugh out loud in the cinema. I don't know if that was just because I had a thing for Jessica Alba at the time, though, so who knows. Harry Brady, I'm looking forward to Godzilla versus Kong starring Millie Bobby Brown. Yes, I watched King of the Monsters again just the other night, and it was a lot better than I remember it being. Again, that was one of them films where I was very tired the night I watched it, so I checked out. Whereas I watched it again the other night, and actually it was all right. Yeah, it didn't blow me away, and it's still only a 3-star film, but at least I can call it good rather than terrible. Colin David critiques my new favorite film, Scorsese film, is Silence. Yes, that's my second favorite. It's probably joint favorite. So Hugo and Silence are my two favorite Scorsese films. Silence is incredibly underrated, absolute masterpiece. Very, very, very hard watch. You feel like you've gone through the ringer when you watch it, but when you get to the end, it's quite affecting, I think. And I think if you're someone of faith, I can't relate to it as someone who doesn't have faith, because I have a faith. So I can only relate to the film from that regard. So coming at it as a person of faith, it really does raise difficult questions, and it forces me to, it strengthens my faith, I think, a film like that, because it forces me to ask hard questions that sometimes are answered all too easily by people who feel like they've got all the answers. And it's like, actually, if you found yourself in the position that these characters in the film are in, would it be so easy to have those answers? And I don't think it would. Which is why I don't think you can judge these characters by the end of the film. You know, some characters who appear to renounce their faith when they step on that plate. And it's like, I know a lot of people came against that. You know, a lot of Christians came against that. It's like, and they were almost really judgmental of those characters. And it's like, actually, you can talk the talk, but until you've been in their position, you don't know if you can walk the walk. So, yeah, no, it's a great film, very challenging film, I would say. Seeing Denzel Washington as Joker would be interesting. It would be interesting. That's definitely a word for it. It would be interesting, but yeah, it would be the wrong choice. And I say that as a massive fan of Denzel Washington, one of my favorite actors. But I don't know. The idea of taking a black man and then making him wear white makeup. You know, if you go the route of falling into a vat of acid and bleaching his skin white, and then he becomes a villain. What message is that sending out? Well, I'd love to see the debates around that one. Yeah, I'm sorry, but no, Joker is a character that I feel like can't and shouldn't be played by a black man. That's just me. It's sending out all kinds of signals that he's just, I don't. And if you go the route where he's just painting his face rather than the skin being bleached from falling in acid, even that raises, you get, at the end of the day, you're still dealing with a black man who is painting himself as a white man in order when he becomes a villain. It sends out certain messages that there's no way of making them palatable. I don't know. And on that note, I think I will call it a night. Thank you to everyone in the chat who has joined me. A big thank you to the guys who threw those super chats my way. They are very much appreciated. They help keep the lights on, so to speak. But yeah, if you're watching this video after the fact, once it's gone live and it's now uploaded, then let me know what you think of some of these pickups. which ones are great, which ones are good, which ones are all right, which ones are bad, which ones are downright terrible. Let me know, and until next time, thanks for watching.